people are so attached to their identities that they are so incredibly offendable. It's like, I identify as this religion. I identify as this political party. I identify on and on. It's like about being a Gemini or a feminist or a Canadian or whatever. When you are so gripping this way that you are and you aren't, when you are celebrating how different you are from everything around you, instead of, by the way, celebrating our commonalities, which is where the healing happens, right? Mm-hmm. Then you are going to be so easy to piss off. You are going to be so botherable. And you are probably going to take to social media and say, I never talk about these things, but I just feel really implored because this is such a strong part of my identity. Boom, girlfriend. There's the problem. This is such a strong part of your identity. All mysticism is trying to gently, and sometimes not so gently, guide us towards having less of a persona, less of a personality, and having our identity be correct and truthful. You know, this is basic Buddhism, that all suffering comes from identification. This is a very sensitive conversation to have when you're talking about, geopolitical stuff. But I'm thinking that's the truth. Yeah.
And I love that you're doing that, because one of the things that I've observed in my career, seeing, tens of thousands of patients and now teaching practitioners, is that we are all, doesn't matter the letters behind it doesn't matter the years of schooling, it doesn't matter where you come from. We are all more alike than we are different.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think that one of the first exercises that I do with my practitioners is I ask them why they've joined, let's say the certification, and their answers, maybe there's like 20 or 30 people on the call. There are like 20 or 30 answers that are pretty much the same. I want to learn about this. I want to help more women. I want to make more, like that. We are all more alike than we are different. And I have people all over the world that do this course with me. And it's humbling, I think, in a way. Like, I think that there's like an egoic, we'll say, need, desire, I'm not sure the right word there, but like there's an egoic drive to say, look at the special snowflake that I am, right? Yeah. Look at this, look at the story, look at what I've, let's say, overcome. These are some of the hardships, and I'm not trying to minimize that in any way. Of course, most people have gone through hardships. Of course, there's the amplitude and frequency and duration, and how those might differ, and the type of hardships that you've endured. But the ego seems to want to grip onto that for dear life and make that part of the through line of our human existence, when in fact, we all have some degree of trauma, turmoil, something that we all have to get over. And I think that, well, let me let you comment on that, and then we can go from there.
This is when psychology just runs out of steam for me. So, like preface, so much therapy. Oh my God. I've had all kinds of therapy, different modalities. The great therapists that I've had, I feel, have like pretty much saved my life. And I owe them, and I'm happy to owe them. And the masters want to get you off of their sofa and get you, like, just work themselves out of a client, And what can happen is, like, yes, we're all traumatized. Birth is traumatizing. All the impacts of family of origin stuff, all of it. Go to therapy, get a coach, get a holistic medical practitioner, work all that stuff out. See how the impacts of your early days created patterns in your life that you continue to repeat. Do it. And then you got to move on. You've got to, at some point, your trauma cannot be central to your identity. It cannot be the reason you write the novel. Like there's so many chapters, there's so many nuances in who you are as a person. And what I see is it's the ego that stays addicted to the therapeutic process, not the heart. The heart, the intelligence of love wants to heal it, see it, move on, forgive wherever possible. It's not always possible for everybody. That's cool. But that the ego mind that is about dividing, that loves to be unhealed, that is always saying worthy, unworthy, past, now, future. It's really never in the now. It's either past or future, whereas the ego hangs out. It just wants to book more therapy sessions and
go to more personal development.
More
personal development.
Wants to buy more self-help books. Just get How to Be Loving and then be done with it. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that in some ways the ego can be a gift in a way, because once when we realize, so what I think that we do is like, oh, I'm not like her, or I'm not like that, or this is my story. When we stop compartmentalizing and realize that, the ego is not, it's not really, I think we think of the ego as this like villain, right? It's like not really us. It's like, I reacted like that because of my ego, but it's not separate from us. Again, it's part of us. And when we can say, okay, like Thelma and Louise, like we're in it, like you and me ego, like we're in it, just like,
that's it.
We're here in this together. I think this is the springboard maybe of moving towards holism or becoming more whole.
Yeah. That's it. I'm going to use that. The Thelma and Louise approach to your ego. Yeah. The ego is of your creation. The ego is how we figure out, all those masks. The ego points to like who we truly are. It's like no shadow, no light, no fire, no radiance. And so I'm borrowing a term. I really love the teaching of Adyashanti. You would dig him. Adya Shanti. His original name was Steve Miller, I think. Steve somebody. He's like in his 60s, beautiful Californian Zen Buddhist teacher. And he used the term egoing once. It's like ego is more of a verb. It's how you do things. I was like, yes, that's it. So now, like the before me used to be like, I was in my ego. I was arrogant. I need to get that girl under control. And, you hear this in our self-help space a lot, the mean girl, how, you got to deal with your mean girl. Yeah, you got to deal with your mean girl with love. And so now instead of saying, oh, I was a little manipulative there and I got to do something about that. And I'm not that evolved and I'm not that spiritual. I just say, you know what? I was egoing. I just temporarily forgot that I am actually love. I just forgot. And I move on. And by calling the ego a way of being, a behavior, there's nothing to battle. There isn't this interpersonality disorder to try and dominate or domineer. It's just like, oh, it's a way I can be sometimes. And I'm also taking responsibility for my shadow. My shadow is a part of me. I can be shadowy. I can be so unconscious. And then it also gives me space for when I'm like, wow, I was so loving. And then we go on. Yeah.
And it also, I think, when you say it like that, what comes up for me, at least with my shadow self being like having these perfectionist tendencies, like, welcome to the human race. I'm like, welcome to the human race, Steph. Like, you're not going to be this shining beacon all the time. You're going to fall on your face. You're going to say something stupid. It's going to, you're going to say something rude, all of those things. And I was egoing. I was doing something oopsie as a learned behavior, let's say, from my past, or something that had to develop that ego to help me maybe survive in that moment. The hyper, I'm speaking to all my type A, like hyperachievers, right? Like all like that's something that really served you at a point. I think that it's a coping mechanism in a way. And I think when you can say, hey, like, I get it. This came from somewhere that was really emotionally salient for me at some point in my life. Mm-hmm. And that's okay that it showed up today too. Like, it's okay that I have a 3-headed monster as well as, self-actualized, older, wiser Stephanie. She's in there. There's like baby Steffi. And then there's like the three-headed monster who learned how to, get what she wants because she's afraid of being told that she's not enough or that she's going to be abandoned, let's say.
And loving all of that helps all of it calm down. Your three-headed monster just starts to chill out. It relaxes. Even your nervous system starts to regulate a bit more. And then it doesn't control you. You actually do become a more loving person by loving your three-headed monster. That's the thing that we miss. That really gets, it's not in the motivational culture.